Ambassador Jin-A Park stepped off the transport ship onto the crystal landing pad of Kepler 442b. The archive world stretched before her like something from a dream. Massive towers made of translucent stone reached toward the purple sky. Each tower held millions of years of galactic history. This was her first time visiting the Galactic Council's most sacred site. "Welcome to the Grand Archives, human," said Archivist Veltun. The tall, blue-skinned alien looked down at Jin-A with obvious disdain. "Please remember that your species is still very new to galactic civilization. You must not touch anything without permission." Jin-A smiled politely. She had grown used to this treatment over the past year. Every alien species she met seemed to think humans were primitive children. They spoke slowly to her, as if she might not understand basic concepts. It was frustrating, but she kept her diplomatic composure. "I understand, Archivist. I'm honored to be here," Jin-A replied. She followed Veltun through corridors lined with glowing data crystals. Each crystal contained the complete history of an entire star system. The sheer scale of knowledge made her feel small. They walked for nearly an hour before reaching the public viewing section. Holographic displays showed the rise and fall of ancient civilizations. Jin-A recognized some species from the current Galactic Council. Others had been extinct for thousands of years. "Your diplomatic clearance allows you to view general historical records," Veltun explained. "The restricted sections contain dangerous or sensitive information. Primitive species like yours could be harmed by such knowledge." Jin-A nodded, though the word primitive stung. She began her tour of the available exhibits. The first display showed the formation of the Galactic Council 5,000 years ago. According to the records, 12 species had come together to create the first interstellar government. Humans weren't mentioned anywhere. The second display covered the mysterious Forerunners. These were the legendary beings who had supposedly built the hyperlane network that connected all inhabited systems. Their technology was so advanced that current galactic civilization still couldn't understand how it worked. The Forerunners had vanished millions of years ago, leaving behind only ruins and artifacts. Jin-A studied the Forerunner artifacts carefully. Something about them seemed familiar, though she couldn't place why. The symbols carved into ancient stones reminded her of something she had seen before. She took discreet photos with her diplomatic scanner, making sure Veltun didn't notice. As the day wore on, Jin-A found herself drawn back to the Forerunner section again and again. The more she looked at the symbols, the more certain she became that she recognized them. Finally, it hit her. These symbols looked exactly like the cave paintings in Lascaux, France. But that was impossible. Those paintings were only 17,000 years old. The Forerunner artifacts were supposedly millions of years older. "Archivist Veltun," Jin-A called out. "Could I see more examples of Forerunner writing?" "Some. Jin-A." The alien looked annoyed. "Why would a human be interested in such advanced topics? Your species has barely discovered fire, relatively speaking." Jin-A forced herself to stay calm. "I'm curious about linguistic evolution. Perhaps there are patterns that could help us understand how ancient languages developed." Eight. Axin. Make start. Veltun sighed, but led her to another display case. Inside were stone tablets, covered in symbols. Jin-A's heart raced. These symbols were identical to cave paintings found all over Earth. Not similar. Identical. The same curved lines. The same geometric patterns. The same style of drawing animals and humanoid figures. She took more photos while pretending to admire the craftsmanship. Her diplomatic scanner worked silently, recording everything in high resolution. Jin-A was careful not to show too much excitement. If Veltun suspected she had made an important discovery, he might restrict her access further. "These symbols are quite beautiful," Jin-A said casually. "Do we know what they mean?" "The language of the Forerunners remains a mystery," Veltun replied. Our best scholars have studied these tablets for centuries. They believe the symbols represent some form of proto-writing, perhaps the earliest attempt at recording information. Proto-writing. Janae almost laughed. If these tablets really were millions of years old, then humanity had been using the same symbols long before they were supposed to exist. Either the dating was wrong, or something very strange was happening. I wonder if I could access the restricted archaeological section, Jin-A said carefully. My government would be very grateful for any additional cultural insights. Veltun's expression hardened. Absolutely not. The restricted sections contain information that could destabilize primitive civilizations. Humans are not ready for such knowledge. Jin-A decided not to push the issue. She spent the rest of the day cataloging everything she could see in the public sections. When evening came, Veltun escorted her back to the guest quarters. Jin-A thanked him politely and waited for him to leave. Once she was alone, Jin-A reviewed her photos on a secure device. The evidence was overwhelming. Every symbol on the Forerunner tablets matched cave paintings found on Earth. Some were identical to petroglyphs in Korea that dated back thousands of years. Her grandmother had shown her similar symbols when she was a child, calling them the old writing. Jin-A sent an encrypted message to Earth, attaching all her photos. Dr. Minjun Choi, the Xenoarchaeology Department head, needed to see this immediately. If her suspicions were correct, everything the galaxy believed about human history was wrong. The next morning, Jin-A decided to test something. She walked back to the archives alone, claiming she wanted to review yesterday's materials. Instead, she headed straight for the restricted section entrance. A massive security door blocked the way, covered in warning signs in dozens of languages. Jin-A approached the door's scanner, knowing she would be denied access. But she was curious what would happen. She placed her hand on the genetic scanner, expecting an immediate rejection. The scanner hummed for a moment. Then, to Jin-A's complete shock, the massive door began to open. Emergency alarms started blaring throughout the archives. Veltun came running from across the hall, his face pale with terror. "What did you do?" he screamed. "That door hasn't opened in 3,000 years. The genetic locks only respond to..." He stopped speaking, staring at Jin-A with wide eyes. "Only respond to what?" Jin-A asked quietly. Veltun was shaking now. "Only to Forerunner DNA," he whispered. Dr. Minjun Choi stared at his computer screen for the 100th time that day. Jin-A's encrypted message had arrived 6 hours ago, but he still couldn't believe what he was seeing. The symbols from the Forerunner tablets were identical to cave paintings he had studied for 20 years. Not similar, identical. Minjun had built his career studying ancient human artifacts. He knew every major archaeological site on Earth. The symbols in Jin-A's photos appeared in caves across 6 continents. In Korea, France, Australia, South Africa, Peru, and North America. All supposedly created by primitive humans who had no contact with each other. His assistant, Dr. Sarah Kim, knocked on his lab door. "Professor, you asked me to run the symbol comparison program?" "Yes, come in. What did you find?" Sarah looked troubled as she handed him a data tablet. "The computer found matches in our database for 97% of the Forerunner symbols. They appear in human archaeological sites ranging from 40,000 years ago to just 300 years old. Some Native American tribes were still using these symbols when European settlers arrived." Minjun rubbed his tired eyes. "That's impossible. The Galactic Council dates those Forerunner tablets at over 2 million years old." "There's more," Sarah continued. "I found something strange in the genetic samples we collected from those same cave sites. All the humans who created these symbols share certain DNA markers. Markers that appear in less than 12% of the current human population." "Which 12%? Sarah hesitated. "People of Korean, Japanese, Native American, and Aboriginal, Australian descent show the highest concentrations, but it appears randomly in other populations too, almost like it's an ancient genetic line that spread across early human migration routes. Min Jun felt a chill run down his spine. Send me all the data. And Sarah? Keep this absolutely confidential until we understand what we're dealing with. After Sarah left, Min Jun began cross-referencing the genetic data with historical migration patterns. The results made no sense, according to accepted human history. The DNA markers appeared in populations that had been separated for tens of thousands of years. It was as if some very ancient human group had traveled the entire world, leaving genetic traces and symbols everywhere they went. His secure communication device chimed. Another message from Jin-A. Marked, urgent. Min Jun, something incredible is happening here. The Archive's AI system has given me access to restricted Forerunner sections. The other archivists are terrified. They keep talking about genetic locks that only respond to Forerunner DNA. I need you to run a complete genetic analysis on the samples I sent. There's more going on here than we understand. Min Jun immediately began running Jin-A's genetic sample through every test he could think of. While the computers worked, he received an urgent call from Dr. Lisa Park at the Proxima Centauri Research Station. Min Jun, are you seeing the news feeds from Proxima B? No. I've been focused on Jin-A's archaeological findings. What's happening? A massive structure just emerged from the planet's core. It's crystalline, about 2 kilometers tall, and it's broadcasting signals into space. The signals are in perfect Korean, Min Jun. Ancient Korean, that linguists say, died out over 1,000 years ago. Min Jun dropped his coffee cup. What are the signals saying? The same phrase. Over and over. The Guardians have returned. Await further instructions. Min Jun, how is an alien structure speaking ancient Korean? Arnamar, Arnamardamar, 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 Arnamardamardamardamar, Arnamardamardamardamardamardamardamardamardamardamardamardamardamardamardamardamardamardamardamardamardamardamardamardamardamardamardamardamardamardamardamardamardamardamardamardamardamardamardamardamardamardamardamardamardamardamardamardamardamardamardamardamardamardamardamardamardamardamardamardamardamardamardamardamardamardamardamardamardamardamardamardamardamardamardamardamardamardamardamardamardamardamardamardamardamardamardamardamardamardamardamardamardamardamardamardamardamardamardamardamardamardamardamardamardamardamardamardamardamardamardamardamardamardamardamardamardamardamardamardamardamardamardamardamardamardamardamardamardamardamardamardamardamardamardamardamardamardamardamardamardamardamardamardamardamardamardamardamardamardamardamardamardamardamardamardamardamardamardamardamardamardamardamardamardamardamardamardamardamardamardamardamardamardamardamardamardamardamardamardamardamardamardamardamardamardamardamardamardamardamardam screens. Similar structures were emerging on 17 different worlds across the galaxy. Each one was broadcasting the same message in different Earth languages. Ancient Sanskrit on Kepler 438b, Proto-Celtic on Wolf 359c, Classical Chinese on Gliese 667cc. Dr. Sarah burst into his lab without knocking. "Professor, the genetic analysis is complete. Jin A's DNA contains markers we've never seen before. Markers that don't match any known human population. But they're definitely human. In origin. Show me." Sarah pulled up a holographic display of Jin A's genetic code. Certain sections glowed bright blue. These sequences appear to be incredibly ancient. Millions of years older than modern human DNA. It's like she's carrying genetic information from humanity's distant past. Minjun stared at the display. Or humanity's distant future. His communication device chimed again. This time, it was a priority message from Earth's Galactic Relations Department. Minjun opened it with growing dread. All human diplomatic and research personnel are ordered to return to Earth immediately. The Galactic Council has declared a state of emergency. Reports indicate that ancient installations are activating across the galaxy in response to human presence. Some council members are calling for humanity's immediate expulsion from galactic civilization. Minjun realized they were running out of time. He opened a secure channel to Jin A. "Jin A, you need to get off that planet now. The council is panicking about these ancient structures. They're blaming humans for the activations." Jin A's response came quickly. "I can't leave yet, Minjun. The Archive's AI has been showing me incredible things. Historical records that go back millions of years. Records that mention humans as the original builders of galactic civilization. That's impossible. Humans only achieved spaceflight 50 years ago. Modern humans, yes. But there are records of an ancient human civilization that spanned the galaxy long before any current species achieved sentience. They called themselves the Guardians. Minjun, what if we're not a new species at all? What if we're the descendants of the galaxy's first spacefaring civilization? Minjun looked at the genetic analysis results on his screen. Jin A's ancient DNA markers, the identical symbols appearing across human history, the structures awakening to Korean, Chinese, and Sanskrit broadcasts. Jin A, I think you might be right, but if that's true, why don't we remember? The archives mention something called the Long Sleep, a time when the Guardians retreated to their origin world and sealed away their memories. They were waiting for something, waiting for the right time to return. Alarm sirens began wailing across the research facility. Min Jun looked out his window to see ships launching from the spaceport in obvious panic. The emergency broadcast system activated. All civilians report to evacuation stations immediately. Long-range sensors detect a large fleet approaching Earth. Unknown intentions. This is not a drill. Min Jun grabbed his research data and ran for the spaceport. As he looked up at the stars, he wondered if humanity was about to remember who they really were, and whether the galaxy was ready for that revelation. The ancient structures across 17 worlds continued broadcasting their message. The Guardians have returned. For the first time in millions of years, the galaxy's true elders were waking up. Supreme Chancellor Zythka's scales rippled with barely controlled fury as he read the emergency reports. The massive reptilian leader had ruled the Galactic Council for 3 decades. In all that time, he had never seen anything that threatened galactic stability like this. 17 ancient installations have activated simultaneously, reported Defense Minister Krall Vex, all responding to human genetic signatures, all broadcasting in primitive Earth languages that predate known human civilization. Chancellor Zythka turned to face the emergency council session. Representatives from 43 species filled the great chamber. Fear was visible on every face, regardless of their alien features. The Ethereal Collective's ambassador floated nervously above her seat. The Silicon Brotherhood's representative sparked with agitated energy. Even the normally calm Aquatic Federation delegates were churning the water in their environmental suits. This is clearly some kind of human trick, declared Ambassador Thulnam of the Crystalline Empire. They must have stolen Forerunner technology and are using it to intimidate us. Impossible, replied Science Advisor Meltis. Our analysis confirms the installations are genuine Forerunner constructs. They've been dormant for over 2 million years. No current galactic technology could activate them. Chancellor Zythka raised his clawed hand for silence. What matters now is containment. We cannot allow this situation to destabilize galactic order. Krall Vex, what is the status of the human fleet? The humans have recalled all their diplomatic and research vessels to Earth. Their military appears to be taking defensive positions around their home system. They show no signs of aggressive intent. A no 4. They're sending re-deflating. Another formentated. When destroying. Their modas wask. When destroying was. Yet, growled Chancellor Zythka. Ambassador Veltun, you were present when the human female accessed the restricted archives. Explain how this was possible. Okay. Jun. The blue-skinned archivist was visibly shaking. Supreme Chancellor. The genetic locks responded to her DNA as if she were a forerunner. The probability of this being coincidence is mathematically impossible. Then we must consider the unthinkable, said Chancellor Zythka. He touched a control on his command throne, and the chamber's lights dimmed. Ancient symbols appeared in holographic display above the assembly. These are the sealed records. Information so dangerous that only Supreme Chancellors have access to them. The assembled representatives leaned forward in fascination and terror. The sealed records were legendary. Stories claimed they contained the true history of galactic civilization, but most believed them to be myths. The records speak of the first civilization, Chancellor Zeithka continued, a species that arose when the galaxy was young. They built the hyperlane network that connects our worlds. They created the technological foundation upon which all our civilizations rest. They uplifted primitive species across thousands of worlds, teaching them agriculture, writing, and basic science. Ambassador Thulnam's crystalline form flickered with confusion. What does this have to do with the humans? Chancellor Zeithka's voice dropped to a menacing whisper. Because, according to these records, that first civilization called themselves the Guardians, and they were human. Quote. Shocked silence filled the chamber. Several ambassadors made religious gestures. Others began rapid calculations on their personal devices. That's impossible, protested the ethereal collective's representative. Humans only achieved spaceflight 50 years ago. They're the most primitive species in the galaxy. Are they? Chancellor Zeithka asked. Or are they the descendants of our creators, awakening from some kind of long dormancy? He gestured to the holographic records. According to these documents, the original human civilization withdrew to their home world approximately 2 million years ago. The records claim they entered something called the long sleep, sealing away their memories and technology. Science advisor Meltis floated closer to the display. The timing matches the disappearance of the Forerunners. But why would an advanced civilization choose to forget itself? Mel. Kane. Mel. The records suggest they were waiting. Chancellor Zeithka replied. Waiting for their uplifted species. Us. To prove we could govern ourselves responsibly. They intended to return when the galaxy achieved true peace and cooperation. Defense Minister Kralvex's armor plates shifted nervously. Supreme Chancellor, if this is true, then humanity has the right to reclaim leadership of the galaxy. Our civilizations exist only because their ancestors created us. Exactly why this information must never become public knowledge, Chancellor Zeithka said firmly. If the human population learns they are the galaxy's original civilization, they will demand the restoration of their ancient authority. Our independence, our governments, our very identities as free species will be threatened. The chamber erupted in panicked discussions. Representatives called out questions and protests in dozens of languages. Chancellor Zeithka let them voice their fears before calling for order. There is only one solution, he announced. The human species must be eliminated before they fully awaken to their true nature. We will make it appear that they were destroyed by an unfortunate cosmic accident. Perhaps their star will suffer an unexpected solar flare. Intinent. Ventinantinantin. I will see they. Ambassador Veltun stood up shakily. Supreme Chancellor, surely we can negotiate with them. If they truly are our creators, perhaps we can reach some kind of arrangement. Negotiate? Chancellor Zeithka laughed bitterly. Would you negotiate with your own child for the right to remain independent? The humans created us to be their servants, their pets, their entertainment. Now that they're waking up, do you think they'll be content to let us continue governing ourselves? Several representatives nodded agreement, but others looked uncomfortable with the proposed solution. The Silicon Brotherhood's ambassador sparked with electrical concern. What if we're wrong? The artificial being asked. What if eliminating humanity triggers some kind of automatic response from the Forerunner installations? Then we'll deal with that problem when it arises, Chancellor Zeithka replied. The immediate threat is human awakening. Every day they remain conscious increases the risk of full memory recovery. Defense Minister Kralvex pulled up tactical displays. I can have a stealth fleet positioned around Earth within 72 hours. Solar destabilization weapons will make their star go nova. It will appear completely natural. Do it, ordered Chancellor Zeithka. But maintain absolute secrecy. If word of this operation leaks, It could start a civil war among our member species. As the emergency session ended and representatives filed out, Chancellor Zithka remained on his throne, staring at the ancient records. Deep in his heart, he knew they were making a terrible mistake. The humans he had met seemed kind and curious. Nothing like the monsters his fears painted them to be. But fear was stronger than logic. Fear of losing everything his civilization had built. Fear of returning to primitive servitude under human masters. Fear that the galaxy's children were not yet ready to meet their parents. In 72 hours, the stealth fleet would begin humanity's destruction. Chancellor Zithka only hoped the Forerunner installations would remain silent when their creators died. Captain Sujin Lee guided her exploration vessel through the asteroid field with practiced ease. The UES Discovery had been searching uncharted systems for 3 months, looking for any clue about the ancient installations that were awakening across the galaxy. Earth's government was desperate for answers before the situation spiraled out of control. "Captain, I'm detecting unusual energy readings from the 4th planet in this system," reported Navigation Officer Tae-Hyun Kim. "The signatures don't match any known technology." Sujin studied the sensor displays. The planet appeared uninhabited, covered in ancient forests and pristine oceans. But deep beneath the surface, something was generating massive amounts of clean energy. Energy patterns that matched the recently awakened Forerunner installations. "Take us into orbit, Taehyun. Science team, prepare for a planetary survey." Dr. Eunji Park, the ship's xenoarchaeologist, ran detailed scans from orbit. "Captain." "2. Doctor, there's definitely a structure down there. It's huge, maybe 10 kilometers across, and it's been hidden under a forest that's at least 50,000 years old. Any signs of current activity? Minimal power generation, but increasing since we arrived. It's almost like the facility is waking up in response to our presence." Sujin made her decision. "We're going down. Prep the shuttle for a landing team. Full scientific equipment and emergency supplies for 72 hours. 2 hours later, Sujin stood at the edge of an impossible sight. The ancient forest floor had split open like flower petals, revealing a crystalline structure that seemed to glow with inner light. Geometric patterns covered its surface in symbols that looked hauntingly familiar. "These markings match the ones Ambassador Park found in the Galactic Archives, Dr. Eunji said, running her scanner over the symbols. "But these are much more complex. Almost like a complete language system rather than simple pictographs." As they approached the structure's entrance, it began to resonate with a low harmonic tone. The sound was beautiful and somehow comforting, like a half-remembered lullaby from childhood. "Captain, the facility is definitely responding to us," reported communications specialist Jong-Soo Han. "Power levels are increasing across all systems. Whatever this place is, it wants us to come inside." The entrance dilated open as they approached, revealing corridors lined with the same crystalline material. Soft light emanated from the walls themselves, providing perfect illumination without any visible source. The air was fresh and clean, maintained by systems that had been running flawlessly for millions of years. They walked through chambers filled with incomprehensible technology, devices that hummed with quiet power, displays showing star charts of incredible complexity, and what appeared to be biological cultivation systems growing unknown plants under artificial suns. "This place is like a museum and a laboratory combined," Dr. Eunji whispered. "Everything is perfectly preserved, but it's also clearly functional." At the center of the facility, they found a circular chamber dominated by a single console. The surface was smooth and dark, but as Sujin approached, it began to glow with gentle warmth. "Captain, I'm reading massive power fluctuations throughout the facility," Jong-Soo reported. "Something big is about to happen." Sujin hesitated for only a moment before placing her hand on the console's surface. The reaction was immediate and overwhelming. Images flooded her mind. Not memories from her own life, but ancient memories encoded in her DNA. Genetic information passed down through millions of years of human evolution, waiting for the right moment to awaken. She saw the galaxy as it once was: young stars, primitive worlds, and empty space between them. Then came the Guardians. Humans, but not quite like modern humans. Taller, more graceful, with technology that seemed like magic. They traveled between stars in ships that bent space and time. They found primitive species on thousands of worlds and gently guided them toward civilization. The visions showed her the great works of the Guardians. They created the hyperlane network that connected distant stars. They built automated systems to maintain galactic stability. They uplifted dozens of species, teaching them agriculture, writing, mathematics, and ethics. But the most important vision showed her why the Guardians had vanished. A cosmic event was approaching. Not a disaster, but a test. The galaxy's first sentient species needed to prove they could govern themselves without constant guidance. The Guardians chose to withdraw, sealing away their memories and technology until their children were ready to meet them as equals. The long sleep, Sujin whispered, understanding flooding through her. She saw human civilization deliberately limiting itself, forgetting its past achievements, waiting patiently for the right time to return. The console pulsed brighter, and a new voice filled the chamber. It spoke in perfect Korean, but with the warm tone of her grandmother's voice. "Welcome home, child of the Guardians. You have slept long and dreamed deep. Now the time of awakening has come." Sujin's crew stood frozen in amazement as the AI continued. "Your genetic patterns confirm you carry the bloodline of the original Guardians. The activation protocols recognize your authority. How may this facility serve you?" End quote. I don't understand," Sujin stammered. "We're just explorers. We don't know anything about being Guardians. Knowledge sleeps within you, encoded in every cell. The memories will return gradually, as your mind adapts to the truth. Your species chose forgetfulness, to give your children time to grow. Now they face a test, and you must choose whether to intervene." The chamber's displays lit up, showing the Galactic Council's emergency sessions, the fleet movements around Earth, and the fear spreading through 43 civilizations. "They plan to destroy Earth," the AI explained gently. "Your children are afraid that awakened Guardians will reclaim control of the galaxy. They do not understand that Guardians serve rather than rule." Sujin felt ancient instincts stirring in her mind, protective urges that went beyond species loyalty to something deeper. These aliens weren't enemies. They were family. Humanity had nurtured them from primitive beginnings to galactic civilization. The thought of them living in fear broke her heart. "What can we do?" she asked. "The Guardian facilities across the galaxy are awakening to your presence. Each installation contains defensive systems designed to protect all galactic life, not just humanity. But they will only activate with Guardian authorization." Sujin looked at her crew, seeing the same realization in their eyes. They weren't just explorers anymore. They were the inheritors of an ancient responsibility. "Show me," she said firmly. "Show me how to protect our children." The facility hummed with new energy as dormant systems came online. Across the galaxy, 17 installations began preparing protocols that had waited 2 million years to be used. The Guardians were truly awakening now. The Galactic Council's stealth fleet emerged from hyperspace at the edge of Earth's solar system. Chancellor Zythka watched from the flagship's command center as 37 invisible warships took position around humanity's home star. Each vessel carried solar destabilization weapons, capable of triggering a supernova that would consume the entire system. "All ships report ready, Supreme Chancellor," announced Fleet Admiral Kethvar. "Solar bombardment can begin on your command. The explosion will appear completely natural to outside observers. Chancellor Zithka stared at the blue-green world on his display screen. Earth looked so peaceful from this distance. Clouds swirled over vast oceans. City lights twinkled on the night side. It seemed impossible that this quiet planet housed the galaxy's most dangerous secret. "Begin the bombardment," he ordered quietly. The fleet's weapons powered up, preparing to destroy the star that had given birth to galactic civilization itself. But as the first energy beams struck the sun's surface, something unexpected happened. Earth began to glow. Not the harsh light of weapons or technology, but a soft, warm radiance that seemed to come from the planet's very core. The oceans pulsed with gentle blue light. The continents showed intricate patterns of energy that had been hidden for millions of years. "Admiral, what's happening to the planet?" Chancellor Zithka demanded. "Unknown, sir. Our sensors are detecting massive power generation from Earth's surface. Energy levels are off the scale. It's like the entire planet is some kind of installation." On the surface of Earth, Jin A. Park stood in a vast chamber buried deep beneath Sol. The room had revealed itself only hours ago, rising from the ground as if awakened by some ancient signal. Now she understood the truth that had been hidden for so long. Earth wasn't just the home of the Guardians. Earth was the control center for the entire galactic civilization. Every continent, every ocean, every mountain range was part of an incredible system designed to monitor and protect life throughout the galaxy. Ancient displays surrounded Jin-A, showing the positions of every inhabited world, every species, every threat to galactic stability. For 2 million years, this system had worked automatically, maintaining the hyperlane network, adjusting stellar positions to prevent cosmic disasters, and gently guiding the development of uplifted species. "Ambassador Park," spoke a familiar voice. The chamber's AI had the same warm tone as her late mother. "The Guardian protocols are fully active. Hostile forces have been detected in the solar system. How shall we respond?" "NEN. Word company. NEN." Jin-A looked at the tactical displays, showing the Council fleet surrounding Earth's sun. Their weapons were already attacking the star, trying to trigger the catastrophic explosion that would end humanity. But Earth's protective systems were holding the solar destabilization in check, buying precious time. "They're our children," Jin-A said softly. "They're afraid because they don't understand. We need to show them there's nothing to fear. The Guardian directive has always been protection, not conquest." The AI agreed. "Shall I disable their weapon systems?" "Well, gently," Jin-A emphasized. "No one gets hurt. We're going to bring them home safely. Then we're going to have a family discussion." Across the galaxy, 17 awakened installations received Jin-A's commands. Energy beams that could have vaporized entire fleets instead reached out with surgical precision. The Council ships found their weapon systems shutting down harmlessly. Their engines stopped. Their life support remained perfect. But they were now completely helpless. Chancellor Zithka watched in horror as his fleet was rendered powerless in seconds. "How is this possible? Their technology is supposed to be primitive." "Sir," reported the sensor operator, "I'm detecting massive energy signatures from all the activated Forerunner installations. They're all connected somehow, operating as a single network. Earth appears to be the central command node." A new voice filled the fleet's communication channels. Ambassador Jin-A Park spoke with calm authority that carried across 43 different translation protocols. "Citizens of the galaxy, this is Jin-A Park, speaking for Earth and the Guardian installations. Your fleets are safe, but temporarily disabled. No one has been harmed, and no one will be harmed. Please listen carefully to what I have to tell you." She paused, letting her words reach every species, every world, every frightened government across the galaxy. "You know us as humans, the newest species to join galactic civilization, but that's not who we really are. We are the Guardians, the first species to achieve interstellar travel the builders of the hyperlane network, and the ancestors of every uplifted civilization in the galaxy. The communication channels erupted with protests and questions. But Jin'ei continued calmly. 2 million years ago, our ancestors made a choice. They had created a beautiful galactic civilization filled with dozens of intelligent species. But they realized that true growth required independence. So the Guardians withdrew to Earth, sealed away their memories, and entered what we called the long sleep. We became primitive humans, forgetting our past, giving our children time to develop their own cultures and governments. Chancellor Zithka found his voice. If this is true, then you've come to reclaim control of the galaxy. Jin'ei's laugh was warm and genuine. Chancellor Zithka, you've done exactly what we hoped you would do. You've built incredible civilizations. You've maintained peace for thousands of years. You've explored new worlds and created art and literature and music beyond anything we ever imagined. Why would we want to take that away from you? Then what do you want? What every parent wants, Jin'ei replied. To be proud of their children. And we are incredibly proud. You've grown into something wonderful. The displays in Jin'ei's chamber showed peaceful scenes from across the galaxy. The crystalline empire's beautiful crystal gardens, the ethereal collective's floating cities, the aquatic federation's underwater symphonies, the Silicon Brotherhood's digital art installations. You were never our servants, Jin'ei continued. You were our children, our students, our greatest hope for the future. The Guardian installations exist to protect and support you, not to control you. When cosmic disasters threaten your worlds, we quietly deflect them. When dangerous technologies emerge, we provide gentle guidance towards safer alternatives. When conflicts arise, we help create opportunities for peaceful solutions. She activated the chamber's holographic projectors, showing the council representatives the true history of galactic civilization. Not conquest and domination, but patience, love, and protection. We're not here to rule you, Jin'ei concluded. We're here to continue what we've always done. To be your family. To watch you grow. To help when you need it. And to love you unconditionally.